So today I want to talk to you about how I opened and scaled 3 skin clinic locations in under 18 months. Now, I just want to preface that with I did have existing businesses before that, and this wasn't my first time in business. We have another business, we have a training academy and distribution company, which over the last 3 years, has done around £2.5 million in sales. And I also have a skin clinic consultation and marketing agency, which we're currently on track to do about £1 million over the next 12 months. And we have around 50 active clients. Now, today I want to walk you through the exact process and the exact steps that we use to grow our clinics, how we got them off the ground, how we scaled to multiple locations. I also want to show you some of the mistakes that we made along the way, so you can avoid doing them yourself. So I would also like to give you some tweaks that I would make if I was to start from scratch again. So how we started. We wanted to start with as low startup costs as possible and as low risk as possible. Too many people start businesses and throw absolutely everything into it, especially when it comes to brick and mortar. You don't need a fancy fit out. You don't need £200,000 worth of machines. You literally could start with a microneedling pen, with some skin peels, and literally just getting customers through the door in a rented room. So what we did, we kept things low cost. We rented one room, and we rented this room from one of our existing businesses. And we started with just 1 to 2 treatments. We then hired a part-time therapist on contract work just to feel out to see if this actually works. And we hired that person in to do 1 day a week. That's all we started with, 1 day a week. And then we focused on customer acquisition. So it's all well and good having the rented room and the therapist, but if you can't get customers to walk through the door, ultimately have a treatment and tap their card at the end of the session, you're not going to make any money. So we then focused on the customer acquisition. Now, the customer acquisition system that we used, which scares most people, and most people believe it doesn't work, we use Facebook and Instagram. Shock horror, it actually works, right? So we use Facebook and Instagram to bring customers through the door, and all we did was a simple 50% off your first treatment offer to then get people walking through the door and having treatments. What we did from there is we then built up from 1 day a week to 2 days a week to 3 days a week. We just had then multiple part-time therapists. We brought another part-time therapist and another part-time therapist. We typically have 3 part-time therapists per location to fulfill the treatments. What we then did, once we had the customer acquisition set up with the Facebook and Instagram, we brought in a full-time salesperson, which was my auntie. So we were very, very fortunate, obviously with this being a family business, to be able to bring her in. So she had 2 decades worth of experience on hammering phones and just calling leads all day long. Now, what most people don't realize is calling leads is a really tough, crappy job. And you have to find the right people that are motivated to do so. I just want to add a side note here that most clinics don't get bookings and package sales and all of that sort of stuff from agencies that they work with who typically deliver lead gen, because most people don't understand how to sell to strangers from the internet. Now, if you think about this, because we encourage all of our clients, and we do this ourselves in our own clinics, to take deposits over the phone, what you are doing is you are taking money over the phone from strangers from the internet. If you let that sink in for a second, it is a wild, wild concept that wasn't even achievable 20 years ago, right? So if we are able to do this, we will never have a problem with customer acquisition again. It's never a problem that we've had in our own clinics, is getting customers through the door. So that's how we started. And that was the first thing that we did to help us scale from our first 0 to 10K. And we did that in like 3 to 4 months. Now, the biggest challenges that we faced as we were growing, and this still can be a challenge that rears its head today, is getting rebookings and package sales. It's the trickiest thing to do, because not only are we now bringing strangers from the internet into the business, but we also have to get them to commit to a treatment that they might not even be sure is actually going to work for them. So we've focused the last 6 to 12 months specifically on building out systems and processes to help our therapists rebook more easily. I could do a whole other video on how to get more rebookings and packages, and that will be something I'll probably do in the coming weeks. The biggest mistake, and this is number 3, the biggest mistake that we made was launching our 3rd clinic too soon. So we had, in this specific business, we had about 20K in the bank, and we were super, super confident that we were going to be able to just go in and make this work. We put our first employee on proper payroll, and we went all in on it. We had so many issues with the therapist that was starting out in the 2nd clinic. We also had considerably higher rent. And we found it really, really difficult to actually get this to work. We also launched, and this is for anyone else, do not launch a skin clinic in July and August. That was one of the biggest mistakes we made. We launched our skin clinic in July and August, the 6 weeks, literally like the 4th or 5th of August when people were going away on holiday. Stupid mistake on our part. It was probably a little bit of arrogance on my part where I just thought, no, it's fine. We've got everything dialed in. We're smashing it out of the park at the moment with the other clinics. Let's just open this third one. And it took a lot of work to get that clinic off the ground. We have a really, really solid therapist in there now that is working really, really well. But I would say one of the biggest mistakes we did as well was taking 2 rooms from day one, because we didn't have the capacity in-house to create enough ads to generate enough leads. But also, if we did generate leads, we wouldn't have had the capacity from a sales perspective to convert more leads to come into becoming customers. So that's probably my biggest mistake. If I was to do that differently, that particular launch, I would have probably waited another year and maximized out, absolutely squeezed the entire juice out of our other existing locations. The other thing I would have probably done from the early stages is gone heavier on sales training and building out rebooking systems for our therapists. Because again, it's all well and good if you've got people coming in that are referrals. Referrals, if you can get people to, if you can get referrals to buy your products, your services and treatments in any industry, that isn't selling. Because the sale has already been done before someone comes into your clinic or your business or whatever it is. Think of it this way: if someone is buying a skin treatment and they're a referral, a conversation they might have gone through is, oh my God, look at your skin, talking to their friend. Where did you get that done? The sale's already made. Their friend has told them to go and buy from you. So when we're selling to strangers from the internet who've never heard who you are, but can give you the opportunity to explode your business because you're actually targeting the entire of your surrounding locations, you really have to get sales process dialed in to be able to make that work. So what I would probably do, I would also build a bank of before and after pictures. So I would take a bigger hit up front on revenue in terms of, I would want to create more case studies, testimonials, before and after pictures, and probably go in the red, because we didn't even go in the red in our first couple of months. I'd probably go in the red in terms of getting more infrastructure around that. So what I would do here is focus more on getting infrastructure in place to be able to grow the rest of the business on, even if it just means 3 months of doing that. And what I probably would maybe have even done is friends, family, not even launch the clinic, but just get a load of case studies in through the door. Biggest takeaways for me: training your team. If you are on your own, focusing on sales, training yourself and making yourself become a phenomenal salesperson. Biggest takeaway that I can take is running a skin clinic is running a sales business. You are literally relying on sales to grow your business. Your therapists have to be salespeople. You yourself as the clinic owner have to be a salesperson. And if you're not willing to invest the time and energy into sales, you are not going to be able to sell to people who don't know who you are. And that is the biggest challenge. And that is the biggest takeaway I could take from opening 3 skin clinic locations in the last 2 years. So where we're focusing our attention now over the next 18 months is continuous training on staff and hiring better quality talent, but also generating more inquiries. Because if we can focus on those things, our clinics will continue to grow. And if you focus on those things yourself within your own clinics, your clinics will continue to grow also.